That thing freaks me out a little bit.
Yeah.
Surprised the dog doesn't go crazy over it.
Hello, welcome to Simple English Listening. On today's episode, we'll be interviewing my lovely uncle, who's come from Canada, and we'll learn a bit about the culture and the lifestyle in Canada. So, Uncle Aidan, his name is Aidan, what are you up to these days in Canada? Or what's your job?
Oh, I work for a TV station. Promotions producer, so I do a lot of editing and shooting on cameras and stuff.
Okay, so how are we related, Aidan?
Well, you're my nephew. You're my oldest sister's middle child.
Yeah,
That's right.
So Aidan's sister is my mother. I remember you as the uncle that likes sci-fi.
Yes.
A lot. What sci-fi classic do you remember most in the cinema?
That would be Star Wars, of course. I saw that in a theater when it came out.
Okay, which Star Wars was that?
The very first one, A New Hope,
Okay.
1977.
Wow. And have you seen the new Star Wars?
Yes, I have. I've seen all of them. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Even the ones I don't like, I still go see.
Okay. So if you were trapped on a desert island with only the TV series and movies of one sci-fi franchise, which would you choose?
Oh, I have to say Star Trek because there's just so much more of them. It's such
Star
a big
Trek.
World. It's a bigger world of Star Trek, so there's more to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your parents moved to Canada?
Yes, they did.
From the UK?
Yes.
And you and my mother were born in England, right?
Yes, just about. I was supposed to be born in Canada, but I ended up being born in England. So,
Okay.
But I only stayed here 3 weeks, then I moved over to Canada.
So when you were 3 weeks old,
Yes.
moved to Canada. Okay. Where were you born in England again? Because your family moved around.
Yes, so I was born in Leicester.
Leicester. And do you remember why your family moved from England to Canada?
I think they're looking for a change. My father was in the RAF, and he came to Canada a couple of times for training and quite liked it. And then he got an offer for a job for, back then it was called United Aircraft. So we moved to just outside Montreal.
Okay.
1967.
1967.
Yes.
That was the year after England won the World Cup.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So, sports in Canada.
Yes.
I used to live in Canada until I was 7 years old. So my mother's family with Aidan, they moved in 1967 from the UK to Canada.
Yeah.
And then I, with my mother and my family, moved back to England in 1992. And I just remember people loved ice hockey.
Yes.
Like ice hockey was religion.
Yes.
And the NHL was the league.
Yes.
Wayne Gretzky was my hero, number 99.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you say hockey is still the number one sport?
I would say it's still, yes, still number one sport. Although basketball is becoming extremely popular. And I think in some places like Toronto, it may be starting to equal hockey in terms of its popularity.
Wow. Because I know the Toronto Raptors, the Toronto NBA team, they won.
Yes, they did. They won the championship. And they had a huge parade. I mean, massive parade. It took like 5 hours to take the parade route to get to the stadium. Sir.
Yeah.
How many people were outside? Yeah.
So that probably inspired young people to start playing basketball in Toronto.
Oh, probably, yes. And also soccer, or football, as you call it, is also getting very popular. Toronto has a very good team in the North American League.
Okay, so is that the same league as like David Beckham and the LA Galaxy?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Major League Soccer, yes.
So that's becoming more popular.
Yes, it is.
As well. Do you think they could win?
I think they've got a chance. That's why, as a fan or people like, that's all you can ask for is your team to have a chance.
So Canada is a very big country.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Second biggest in the world.
That's right, after Russia.
Yeah.
Where is a place you've been on holiday there that you found to be particularly beautiful?
Oh, well, I've been to every province. I haven't been to Newfoundland yet. That's my last province.
Okay.
But a few years ago, we went to Nova Scotia for summer in PEI, and that's a lovely place to visit. I really quite like Halifax.
Okay.
The city there. So that's really worth a look. And of course, BC has a beautiful interior where some more extended family lives.
That's right.
Like that side. Especially the interior Okanagan Valley is gorgeous. worth saying too.
So BC is a British Columbia,
Yeah.
which is the far west side of the country.
Yes, it is.
But to drive from Toronto to BC,
Yeah.
how long does that take?
Well, taking it easy, driving about 8 hours a day, took us about 5 days.
5 days to drive from one side of Canada to the other.
And that's not quite the one side. That's still kind of
That's
the middle.
right. Yeah.
That's right.
And how many time zones would that be going?
I think we went through 3.
3.
Yeah.
Wow. I hear that Canada houses are getting more expensive there.
In certain parts, it's easier.
Okay. Well, what's the most expensive part of Canada?
That's always been Vancouver the last few years. It's very expensive to live there on the West Coast.
Yeah.
BC.
Okay.
Followed by Toronto a second.
Okay, so Vancouver is the 3rd biggest city.
I think so, yes.
Why do you think it's so expensive?
Well, it's a beautiful place to live. I mean, you're right on the coast. You got mountains. You can go skiing and golfing the same day if you want that kind of lifestyle.
There's less snow.
Definitely less snow. It's milder than lots of parts of Canada.
Mm-hmm.
It's very close to the Asian Pacific trading area. So, of course, lots of companies and people move there for business. Across the strait is sort of Vancouver Island, and that's Victoria's there. That's another lovely little beautiful city.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the mildest climates in Canada. If you want to get away from the snow, that's the place to be.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking about Canadian slang and Canadian language now. The stereotype, people say that Canadians always say A after everything. And A means like, right?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah.
For example, we're going to go play hockey today, eh?
Yes. Although I don't in reality hear that very often. Canada also is so big that it has dialects like England does. So I think other parts of the country probably say more than... And also, growing up in a household where my parents were English, I probably didn't hear as much.
That's right, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember moving from Canada to the UK.
Yeah.
And growing up in the UK, people would be like, Canadian, eh?
Yes.
And I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I think in Toronto, and in our family, we don't really say
that's not very often, no.
But the stereotype is for Canadians to say something like, we're going to go to the beer store. Eh? She'll say what? Like for right. Question 1. What is a loonie?
That is a $1 coin. And it's called that because it actually has a picture of a loon, a bird, on one side of it. And of course, the queen's on the other.
Okay.
Yes.
So what is a toonie?
That's actually a $2 coin. And it does not have a loon on the side.
Okay.
But it's funny, when it first came out, they didn't know what to call it. They tried different names, but everybody just automatically started calling it a toonie for 2 loonies. And it's stuck.
Okay.
So that's what everybody calls it now. That's right.
Okay, what is Timmy's?
Timmy's is Tim Hortons. It's a franchise of coffee place or donuts and also food now. And it's all across Canada. Started by Tim Hortons, who was an ex-NHL hockey player. And it's funny enough, now it's in the States. You said you saw one in Manila, wasn't it?
Yeah, in Manila Airport.
Of all the strange places. So it's slowly creeping around the world.
I remember Tim Hortons, and every time my family returned to Canada to visit our relatives, we always go to Tim Hortons.
Yes, I brought your mother back a donut from Tim Hortons.
Ah, yeah.
She likes.
So what is a double-double?
That is where you order coffee from Tim Hortons. That means 2 sugars and 2 milk or 2 cream.
Correct.
Yeah, so.
He's doing very well.
Thank you.
Means he's very Canadian.
And funny, there was a Tim Hortons in Afghanistan at the Canadian-American base.
Yeah.
And English soldiers and everybody had to learn how to order Canadian style for their coffee. They all started doing it.
So they all started
learning how to do the slang, yes.
Nice. Okay, this one, I haven't heard of this one myself. The 6. Example, shit's hot up in the 6 right now.
I don't know that one. It was, I don't know. No. Do you know what it is?
So the 6 refers to the cities that make up the Great Toronto Area.
Oh, of course. Yes. That's a new, isn't that the new, didn't Drake come up with that or something?
That's right.
That's right.
Drake came up with it.
That's right. So sorry, different generation.
Different
That's not my thing.
That
makes sense now. Yes.
Okay. A 2-4.
Yes, that's the case of 24 beer.
Okay, right. More difficult. A tuuk.
A toque?
Toque.
That's a hat. That's a wool hat.
A wool hat.
Yes, it's called a toque.
It says here that that word comes from the Arabic language, found its way into medieval French, and then into Canada.
And of course, probably through Quebec.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Quebec,
which is the French-speaking province of Canada.
Yeah. Okay. So what about a Mickey, for example? Just grab a Mickey. We're keeping it low key tonight.
That's a small bottle of like whiskey or liqueur or something like that.
A small bottle of whiskey or liqueur. Wow. Pop.
Pop is soda pop. Is like 7-Up or Coca-Cola.
Nice. So a Canuck
is what you call Canadian, short face. I don't know where that word actually came from, but yes, a Canuck is a word for Canadian.
And would you say it's is it a derogatory term? Like, do people say it talking down?
I don't know. I never had a problem with that. So sometimes it's said in joke and jest, but I never think of it as that way. No, I think it's a proud word for Canadians.
How do Canadians say the last letter of the alphabet? Is it the English way or the American way?
It's the English way, but the American way is very much becoming normal now because of being so close to America.
Okay.
I tend to say Z more than I should say Z.
Okay.
But technically speaking, but I think because of the American culture and TV and the internet, it's becoming more and more American style. Although we still spell color wrong, we spell it right. With a U.
So in Canada, they spell color with a U?
Yes, the English
style.
Yes.
Okay. And they traditionally say Z.
Yes.
Not Z.
Yes.
Okay. What about a click? There's a moose on the loose. It's about 3 clicks away.
Oh, kilometer. Yes, we switched to a metric system.
Okay.
The Americans did, but we did. Okay.
Kerfuffle. There was a kerfuffle when Montreal beat the Leafs.
It means it's a bit of a kerfuffle, a bit of a problem, a bit of a fight, a bit of a argument about something.
Okay. Yeah. So there would be a kerfuffle if Montreal beat the Leafs.
Probably in Toronto. I mean,
So
Montreal would be quite happy.
Good point. So in hockey, Montreal Canadiens, the Toronto Maple Leafs, rivals.
Yes.
Yeah, classic rivals.
Two of the oldest teams too.
Two of the oldest.
Original 6 teams.
Bring your runners. We're not going to take TTC today.
Bring your running shoes.
Running shoes
are runners. Yes. Runners, yes.
Okay.
And TTC is the transit system in Toronto. Yes.
A snowbird
is Canadian who goes down south to Florida primarily, but sometimes in Arizona or California or even Caribbean for the winter so they can escape all the really cold weather.
So when it gets very cold in Canada in the winter, people who can afford it, who have the money, they live in America for part of the year.
Where it's warmer.
We call them snowbirds.
So they fly south for the winter. Yes.
Yeah. Well done. You are very Canadian.
Okay. Well then, thank you.
Right. So how would you describe the Canadian food? Canadian cuisine? What do people mostly eat?
Where I live in Toronto, outside is very multicultural. So there's food from all over the world. We're very lucky that way. Basic cuisine would actually started being very English and very American. Burgers and fries and pizza and stuff like that, fried chicken and stuff. But now, of course, it's everywhere in the world. You come to Toronto, you can eat whatever you want. It's amazing.
It's a very multicultural country.
Yeah.
I would say possibly the most multicultural country that I've ever been to.
Especially like Vancouver or Toronto. I think the big cities, you definitely notice it.
As far as I know, you go to Canada and if a nationality or ethnicity is somewhere on Earth, you'll find it in Canada.
Probably, yes. I think we pretty much have everybody.
And I think, isn't like Toronto like 20% Chinese and East Asian ethnicity or something like that?
Yeah.
Well, my favourite food in Canada is poutine.
Yes, that's from the Quebec
French
side of our culture, yes.
So it's a classic French-Canadian dish with gravy and cheese curds.
Yeah.
It's French fries. It's French fries covered in gravy, cheese curds. Yeah. It's amazing. I guess the final topic today is the weather. So how many months of snow do you have per year?
It depends on where you live. The farther north, of course, you go, the more snow you have. Where I live, it's pretty mild winter generally, but you usually start snowing around. It can start snowing in October, but usually November, and it may stop snowing in March.
Okay.
Occasionally April, but it won't last long then.
So it's about 4 or 5 months?
Yeah. But snow often comes and goes where I live. You get a lot of snow, then it can't melt away, then come again. Very rarely, but sometimes it stays all winter. So it depends how much you get.
So I'll show you a picture for those watching the video of outside Aidan's house.
Oh yes, during a big snowstorm a few years back.
Yeah. What is the highest you've ever seen the snow?
Where I am, it's probably about 10 inches or a foot or so. But drifts, of course, can get quite high when the wind drifts it.
Okay.
You can get higher than that. So you can get like drifts up to your chest height or even higher.
And my aunt, your other sister,
yes,
she lives in Edmonton.
Yes, she does, yes.
Which is much further north.
Yes, farther west, yes.
And west. I think it's probably the northernmost
of the big cities, probably.
City of over 1 million people.
Yeah.
She rung the other day?
Yes, we were talking. They had a bit of a cold snap, and the wind chill was getting -30 to -40 degrees Celsius. That's when the cold is not what bothers you; it's the wind chill. The wind picks it up and makes it feel so much colder.
I see. So with the wind chill, it was -30 to 40 Celsius.
Yes, you have to wrap up.
What is the coldest you've ever personally felt?
Probably about -30.
-30 Celsius.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Pretty cold.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Aidan, for joining us today.
Okay.
This is something for you guys to listen to familiarize yourself with English. Put the earphone in on the way to work, on the way back, and listen to this as many times as you like. Well done, guys. See you next episode. Okay. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.